Have you ever wondered why the more you explain yourself, the more misunderstood you feel? Why the louder you speak, the less peace you find? We live in a world that glorifies noise, constant talking, proving, reacting. Yet inside, we're starving for quiet. Every argument, every defense drains a part of our inner strength until there's nothing left for growth. But what if silence isn't weakness? What if it's the highest form of power? As Buddhism teaches, when the mind is silent, truth begins to speak. Because when you finally stop chasing approval and start focusing on yourself, something miraculous begins. Life starts to flow effortlessly. In this journey, you'll discover why silence attracts answers, how self-focus creates peace, and the hidden Buddhist truth that changes everything. And stay until the end. There's a powerful bonus lesson that will completely shift how you view your own energy and power. Let's begin. 1. The hidden strength within stillness. What if your greatest power has nothing to do with how much you speak, but how deeply you can listen? Most of us spend our lives trying to be heard, trying to prove we are right, capable, and worthy. But in this endless noise, something sacred gets lost, the quiet wisdom that only rises when the mind becomes still. Silence is not empty, it's full of answers. Imagine sitting at dawn, the world still wrapped in sleep, the air unmoving, the earth hushed. For a moment, you are no one, no role to play, no mask to wear. In that stillness, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel the pulse of life itself, not rushing, not striving, just flowing. It is in this sacred silence that life begins to whisper truths you could never hear while chasing validation. Buddhist philosophy teaches that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of awareness. Like a mountain unmoved by the winds, true strength lies not in resistance, but in stillness. When your heart no longer trembles before every storm, when you can sit quietly with your fears, your doubts, and your desires without being pulled by them, that is the moment you begin to awaken. But we live in an age that glorifies noise. Everyone is talking, everyone is performing, everyone is racing to be seen. Yet, the louder we shout, the further we drift from ourselves. When you focus on others, you scatter your energy. When you focus on yourself, you gather it. Silence is the art of gathering your energy back into your center, where peace lives, where clarity is born. Ask yourself, what am I trying to prove by speaking so much? Is it the fear of being unseen, unheard, or unloved? True confidence doesn't demand attention. It radiates quietly. And what truths have I ignored because I feared silence? Sometimes, silence exposes the very things we've been running from. The hollowness of endless doing, the ache of disconnection, the exhaustion of pretending. In Buddhist teaching, when one sits in stillness, the mind settles like muddy water. Slowly, what's beneath becomes clear, the peace, the simplicity, the flow of life itself. When you stop trying to control every outcome, life begins to move through you instead of against you. You no longer push the river, you flow with it. So today, be like the mountain, unmoved, steady, patient. Stay silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because your silence says everything. The world will begin to rearrange itself around your calm. You will see that when you focus on yourself and stay silent, life doesn't need to be forced. It begins to flow effortlessly. And perhaps the most profound truth of all is this: when you stop chasing noise, silence starts guiding your destiny. 2. The psychology of self-focus. How often do you lose yourself in the noise of others? In a world that constantly demands your attention, It's easy to forget that your energy is sacred. You give pieces of yourself to conversations that drain you, to comparisons that wound you, to expectations that are not your own. But when you turn your gaze inward, you begin to remember a forgotten truth. Where attention goes, energy flows. Your mind is like a lamp. When it faces outward, the world is lit. You see everything but yourself. When it turns inward, the soul is illuminated. You begin to see what has always been hidden in the silence of your being. This is the psychology of self-focus, not selfishness, but sacred awareness. To focus on yourself is to return your light to its true source, to stop scattering your spirit in 1,000 directions and let it burn brightly in one. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your energy returning from every person you've tried to please, every opinion you've tried to meet, every worry that has stolen your calm. Watch it flow back, like golden threads, into your own heart. Feel that warmth settle within you. That is your power, your peace, your clarity. You've simply forgotten it while chasing things that were never yours to hold. Buddhism teaches that suffering begins the moment our attention leaves the present moment. When the mind is pulled outward by desire or fear, we lose harmony with the flow of life. But when the mind returns inward, everything begins to balance again. You stop reacting to life and start responding with wisdom. The chaos outside no longer dictates the peace inside. You realize that you can observe the storm without becoming it. Ask yourself, what distractions have stolen my focus? What voices fill your head that don't belong to you? Every time you get lost in noise, you drift further from your center. And how does it feel when you are centered within yourself? That feeling of calm clarity, that is your natural state. You don't have to chase peace. You only need to stop scattering your awareness. And what could you create if your energy wasn't scattered? When your mind is whole, your life begins to flow effortlessly. You think clearer, love deeper, and act with purpose. You become like water, soft yet unstoppable. The universe begins to reflect your inner stillness. So return to yourself. Focus inward, not because the world doesn't matter, but because only from inner harmony can you truly serve it. Your silence is not withdrawal, it is alignment. When your energy belongs to you again, life no longer feels like a struggle. It becomes a graceful unfolding. Remember this truth. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, the world doesn't fall apart, it falls into place. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My focus creates calm." 3. Why silence is the language of power. Why do those who speak less often seem to command more respect? There is a quiet truth that the world has forgotten. Real power does not come from volume, but from presence. The loudest voices rarely hold the deepest wisdom. It is the calm ones, the centered ones, who shape the rhythm of the world without forcing a sound. Power is presence, not volume. The Buddha once taught that when the mind is silent, it becomes like a still lake, perfectly clear, perfectly reflective. Only then can it mirror truth. Imagine yourself walking into a room, saying nothing, yet your calm energy fills the space. People turn toward you, not because you demand attention, but because your presence feels different, unshaken, steady, grounded. This is the language of power that needs no words. The sun never shouts, yet everything grows in its light. The ocean does not argue, yet it shapes the continents. True strength has no need to prove itself. It simply is. When your mind becomes quiet, your energy speaks louder than your voice ever could. Silence is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the ability to remain undisturbed while the world rushes around you. But silence makes many people uncomfortable. They rush to fill it, fearing it might expose their uncertainty. Yet, those who can sit within silence begin to hear the subtler layers of life, the emotions beneath words, the truth beneath appearances, the peace beneath chaos. To stay silent is not to retreat from the world. It is to connect with it more deeply than noise ever could. Ask yourself, does my silence make me feel small or grounded? When you are anchored in awareness, silence no longer feels like absence. It feels like depth. And what kind of energy do I emit without words? Your presence carries the imprint of your mind. A peaceful mind radiates calm. A restless one spreads unrest. Every room you enter is changed by your inner state. Can I learn to let presence speak for me? This is the essence of mindful power: to act without aggression, to influence without control, to lead without dominance. When you cultivate inner stillness, your very being becomes a silent teaching to others. You become like the tree that offers shade, not by effort, but by nature. In Buddhist wisdom, silence is the bridge between understanding and awakening. It is the space where awareness deepens and energy refines. The more silent you become, the more aligned you are with the flow of life. You no longer need to push or chase. Your calm begins to attract what once ran away. So speak less, not from fear, but from knowing. Let your stillness do the talking. For when you focus on yourself and stay silent, the world listens differently. And in that quiet listening, life begins to flow effortlessly around you. 4. The energy you withhold becomes the power you radiate. What if restraint, not reaction, is the root of true confidence? In every moment, life tests your balance. People provoke, circumstances shift, emotions rise. And in those fragile seconds between stimulus and response lies your greatest power: the choice to remain still. The less you react, the more powerful you become. This is not the silence of fear. It is the silence of mastery. A still lake reflects the sky clearly. A disturbed one distorts everything. In the same way, a restless mind can never see truth as it is. Each time you react out of anger, fear, or ego, you stir the waters of your consciousness and lose clarity. But when you remain calm, you begin to see life as it truly is, not as your emotions paint it. Restraint is not suppression, it is wisdom in motion, the awareness that not every battle deserves your fire. Next time someone tests your peace, pause. Take one slow, conscious breath before replying. In that breath, you reclaim your energy. You return to your center. You'll feel something subtle but profound, a quiet strength rising from within, an energy untouched by the chaos outside. That is the beginning of power without force. In Buddhist philosophy, reacting is bondage, but responding is freedom. The Buddha taught that the mind trained in awareness no longer dances to the pole of every feeling. It observes, it waits, it chooses. This is the power of the awakened mind, to act not from habit, but from clarity. Every time you resist the urge to react, your energy consolidates. Every time you choose calm over conflict, you grow stronger within. Ask yourself, where do I waste energy through reaction? Maybe in arguments that steal your peace, in overthinking that drains your joy, or in defending yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. Let it go. Your silence will speak louder than your defense ever could. And can I feel the quiet strength in restraint? That grounded stillness is not weakness, it is command. The strongest tree bends with the wind, but never breaks. What does power without control feel like? It feels like being deeply alive, yet completely at ease. You stop trying to win every situation because you've already won yourself. You no longer react to life, you receive it. And in that receptivity, life starts to move with you, not against you. The truth is simple. Energy that is withheld from reaction transforms into radiant presence. You begin to glow differently, calmer, clearer, lighter. So protect your energy, guard your silence, choose peace even when provoked. Because the moment you stop reacting, the universe starts responding. And when you focus on yourself and stay silent, life begins to flow effortlessly. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My focus creates calm." 5. Ignore negativity. Silence is the strongest response. Must every insult, opinion, or judgment be answered? The world will always have noise, voices eager to provoke, to pull you into conflict, to test your peace. But wisdom lies not in answering every sound, but in knowing which ones deserve your silence. Those who argue with ignorance only feed it. Silence is not surrender, it is transcendence. It is the moment you rise above the mud instead of wrestling within it. Don't wrestle with the mud, you'll only get dirty too. When others speak from anger, let them. When they misunderstand you, allow them. You are not here to win every debate, you are here to guard your inner harmony. The Buddha once said, "Hatred is never overcome by hatred, only by love." When you react to negativity, you give it life. When you stay silent, it dissolves on its own. Imagine yourself surrounded by a soft golden light, a quiet field of awareness that no word can pierce. Every opinion that tries to reach you meets this light and fades into stillness. You do not need to defend, justify, or explain. Your peace becomes your shield, your calm, your power. Negativity thrives on attention. It feeds on reaction. But when you offer it nothing, no anger, no explanation, it withers. Your silence says what words cannot. I am no longer available for chaos. In Buddhism, this is the art of noble silence, not absence, but mastery. You remain aware, yet unattached. You see the storm, but you no longer step into it. Ask yourself, how often do I give power to negativity by responding? How many moments of peace have you lost trying to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you? And what happens when I stay silent instead? You feel a strength that words cannot touch, a peace that stands unshaken. Can I protect my peace through gentle detachment? Detachment is not coldness. It is compassion in its purest form. It means you understand that others act from their own pain, and you no longer take it personally. You begin to live from your center, not from reaction. So the next time someone tries to disturb your calm, breathe. Remember that silence is your response. Walk away not with bitterness, but with grace. For when you focus on yourself and stay silent, life begins to flow effortlessly. Not because the world becomes quiet, but because you do. 6. Discipline, the silent path to mastery. Can consistency itself be a form of meditation? In a world that chases instant results, the quiet art of discipline feels almost forgotten. Yet, true transformation never happens in noise. It unfolds in the silence of repetition, in the soft rhythm of daily devotion. Small steps done in silence build unshakable mountains. This is the way of the mindful, the ones who understand that greatness is not born in a moment of intensity, but in a lifetime of gentle persistence. A candle doesn't flicker because it's loud. It endures because it's steady. Every act of discipline, no matter how small, is like lighting that candle within yourself each morning. You may not see its brilliance at first, but with each sunrise, its flame grows stronger. This inner candle doesn't burn to impress anyone. It burns because it's your sacred promise to yourself to grow, to stay grounded, to move forward, even when no one is watching. Buddhist philosophy teaches that discipline is not punishment. It's love in action. It's the highest form of self-respect. When you choose to wake early, meditate, speak kindly, or act with awareness, you are shaping your mind with compassion and precision. These simple, silent actions align you with life's flow. And when your actions are in harmony with awareness, effort transforms into ease. Each morning, imagine lighting one small inner candle of discipline. It could be a moment of still breathing before you begin your day, or choosing calmness when you could choose anger. These are not grand gestures. They are gentle practices of devotion. When you keep showing up for yourself, the universe begins to show up for you. Life starts to cooperate with your quiet consistency. Ask yourself, what daily habit reconnects me to peace? Is it journaling, walking mindfully, or just sitting in silence? These habits are not routines. They are rituals of presence. And how can silence sharpen my focus? When the mind is uncluttered by noise, awareness becomes precise. You begin to see what truly matters and release what does not. What does quiet consistency look like in my life? It looks like planting seeds every day without demanding instant flowers. It looks like trusting that every breath, every act of awareness is building something unseen yet powerful within you. Discipline is not about force. It's about alignment. It's the silent current beneath the river that keeps it flowing toward the ocean. So move gently, but never stop moving. Speak less, but act with purpose. Let your life become a meditation in motion. For when you focus on yourself and stay silent, discipline turns into freedom, and life begins to flow effortlessly, guided by the quiet power of your unwavering steps. 7. Letting go of the need to be understood. What if your need to be understood is the very reason you feel misunderstood? The more you try to explain yourself, the further you drift from peace. You begin to mold your truth into something others can accept, and in doing so, you forget the purity of your own voice. The Buddha once said that truth is not something you argue. It is something you live. You don't need to prove truth. It proves itself. The moon never explains its glow. It simply shines until night understands. In the same way, your light does not require validation. The right hearts will feel it, even in your silence. Those meant to see you will recognize you without explanation, and those who do not are not meant to. When you stop seeking to be understood, you start to live from your center instead of from your need for approval. Visualize yourself walking away from the urge to defend. Each step takes you deeper into peace. Behind you, the noise fades, the arguments, the misunderstandings, the need to be right. Ahead of you, silence opens like a clear sky. In that stillness, you realize something profound. You were never here to convince anyone. You were here to embody your truth so completely that it speaks without sound. In Buddhist wisdom, clinging to validation is a subtle form of attachment. It ties your happiness to other minds, other moods, other mirrors. But freedom begins the moment you release that need. You stop performing and start being. You stop fighting to be seen and start seeing yourself. When you no longer need to be understood, misunderstanding loses its power. Ask yourself, why do I seek validation from those who don't see me? What are you hoping they'll give you that silence hasn't already offered? And how does letting go make space for freedom? When you stop chasing understanding, you find peace that cannot be taken away. You begin to breathe easier, move lighter, and smile without reason. Can silence be my loudest statement? Yes, because silence carries a purity words often cannot. It shows you trust the truth to reveal itself in time. It reflects maturity, wisdom, and inner grounding. Silence is not withdrawal, it is sovereignty. So stay true, even if no one claps. Walk your path, even if no one understands. Let your calm be your answer, your presence, your explanation. For those who truly see you will never need your defense, and those who don't were never meant to shape your peace. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, life begins to flow effortlessly. Because the truth no longer needs your voice, it has already become your being. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My focus creates calm." 8. When you stay still, life starts moving. Why does everything you chase seem to run away? The more you grasp, the more life slips through your fingers. You run after peace, after success, after love, believing that effort alone can shape destiny. But the truth is quieter, softer, and far more mysterious. Stop running, and what you seek will find you. When you stay still, life begins to move, not because you forced it to, but because you finally allowed it. Imagine yourself sitting beside a flowing river. The water doesn't rush to reach the ocean. It simply flows, guided by gravity, surrendering to the path that already exists. And yet, it always arrives. Rivers never push, and still, they move mountains. In that moment, you realize life too has its own current. When you stop resisting, stop forcing, and stop trying to control every outcome, you fall back into harmony with that current. Then, everything that was meant for you begins to move closer. Buddhism teaches that grasping is the root of suffering. The harder we cling, the more we separate ourselves from the natural rhythm of existence. Stillness, on the other hand, is not inaction. It's alignment. It's the wisdom to know when to act and when to allow. When the mind is quiet, intuition begins to guide you. Things that once felt distant begin to unfold effortlessly, because you are no longer swimming against the current. You have become one with it. Ask yourself, what am I trying too hard to control? Maybe it's a relationship, a dream, or the way others perceive you. Sometimes, control is just another form of fear, a refusal to trust life's intelligence. And what if surrender, not struggle, brings success? True power lies not in how hard you push, but in how deeply you can trust. When you stop chasing, you create space for what is meant to arrive. Can I trust life to flow without my constant effort? Sit in silence and feel your own breath. It happens without command. The heart beats, the sun rises, the seasons turn, all without your interference. The universe knows how to move. The universe knows how to move. It always has. Your task is simply to stay still enough to hear its rhythm. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, life begins to flow effortlessly. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you stop making it difficult. Stillness is not the end of motion, it is the beginning of true movement. And when you finally stop running, you'll find that what you were seeking has been quietly walking towards you all along. 9. The art of detachment. How letting go amplifies attraction. Have you noticed that what you truly let go of often returns on its own? We spend so much of life holding on, clutching dreams, people, outcomes, as if our grasp could keep them from slipping away. Yet, in trying to control everything, we create resistance, tension, and fear. The deeper truth is this: what's meant for you cannot be taken, and what isn't meant for you will never stay, no matter how tightly you hold it. In detachment lies the highest power. The Buddha often spoke of detachment not as indifference, but as clarity, the freedom to love, to give, to act, without the chains of expectation. To detach is to trust life enough to release it. The open palm receives more than the clenched fist ever can. When you hold on too tightly, nothing new can enter. But when you open your hand, the universe begins to fill it in ways you never imagined. Close your eyes and breathe in deeply. Now exhale and imagine releasing everything that isn't meant for you. Every attachment, every fear, every person who no longer aligns with your peace. Feel how light you become when you stop carrying what isn't yours. This is the spiritual art of detachment, not escape, but liberation. You begin to move through life with grace rather than control, with trust rather than demand. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering because it binds your happiness to what changes. Everything in life is temporary. Love, success, failure, even pain. When you stop resisting this truth, peace begins to rise within you. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer beg life to go your way, you flow with it. And in that effortless alignment, everything that is meant for you naturally finds its way home. Ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that's draining me? Maybe it's a memory, a person, or an idea of who you thought you should be. Let it go with compassion, not bitterness. Then reflect. What does detachment feel like in my body? It feels like a quiet exhale, a loosening, a soft peace in the chest. And finally, what might come to me if I simply let go? You'll find that when the hands are empty, the heart becomes ready to receive. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you care without clinging. It's the space where love breathes freely, where effort transforms into ease. So, breathe, release, and trust. For when you focus on yourself and stay silent, you discover the sacred paradox of life. The moment you let go, everything that's meant for you begins to flow effortlessly back. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My focus creates calm." 10. The calm mind that nothing can disturb. What would your life look like if nothing could shake your inner peace? Most of us move through each day reacting to events, emotions, and expectations, letting the world dictate the rhythm of our minds. Yet, there is a sanctuary within each of us, a depth untouched by chaos, a place where stillness reigns. The mind is unshakable when anchored in stillness. This is the ultimate refuge, the quiet center from which true freedom emerges. Picture your mind as a vast ocean. On the surface, waves rise and fall, thoughts, emotions, challenges, but deep beneath, the water remains undisturbed. No storm, no external noise can reach the depths where your inner calm resides. This is not avoidance, it is mastery. By cultivating a mind anchored in stillness, you allow life to flow around you while your essence remains serene and unbroken. The calm sea holds hidden power that the storm cannot touch. So too, a mind trained in silence possesses a strength invisible to the outside world, but undeniable in its effects. You respond instead of react. You act with clarity rather than impulse. Decisions are no longer dictated by anger, fear, or confusion, but by wisdom and presence. This is the hallmark of a life aligned with Buddhist insight, the recognition that true power comes not from control, but from calm awareness. Ask yourself, what disturbs my peace most often? Is it the opinions of others, the unpredictability of life, or the inner dialogue that refuses to quiet? Begin to observe these disturbances without judgment, acknowledging them, yet letting them pass like clouds across the sky. Can I respond instead of react? Each pause between stimulus and action becomes a doorway to freedom, where your energy is preserved and your clarity strengthened. How can I strengthen the calm beneath the waves? Through practice, meditation, mindful breathing, and conscious attention to the present moment. Each act of stillness, each silent pause, deepens your inner reservoir. Over time, the calm becomes instinctive, a sanctuary that no external circumstance can breach. When your mind is unshakable, life begins to flow effortlessly. Challenges no longer feel like interruptions. They become opportunities to practice presence. Emotions no longer dictate your choices. They become teachers. The world may roar, but you remain centered, steady, and clear. So cultivate your calm. Return often to the stillness beneath the surface. Let your inner ocean be vast, quiet, and powerful. For when you focus on yourself and stay silent, nothing can disturb your peace. And in that unshakable stillness, life flows with ease, grace, and profound clarity. 11. The power of quiet confidence. 11. The power of quiet confidence. What if confidence isn't about proving, but about being? In a world that equates volume with authority, many of us shout to be seen, striving to convince others of our worth. Yet true confidence does not demand attention. It radiates quietly from the depth of your presence. Those who walk quietly often walk the farthest. It is not the loudest voice that shapes life, but the calm, steady heart that moves with intention and clarity. Imagine the bamboo in a storm. It bends with the wind, yielding without resistance, yet it never breaks. This is the essence of quiet confidence, flexible, resilient, and unshakable. You do not need to dominate every situation, to assert every point, or to compete for approval. Instead, you root yourself in stillness, allowing your inner strength to guide your actions without the burden of external validation. Visualize yourself standing tall, unshaken, rooted in quiet certainty. Your presence alone communicates assurance. Your calm breath reflects mastery over fear and doubt. Others may rush, argue, or attempt to unsettle you, but your energy remains anchored. In silence, there is clarity. In patience, there is influence. In humility, there is power that words could never convey. Buddhism teaches that ego-driven assertion is a mask, a fragile construct that seeks recognition. True confidence emerges when that mask dissolves. You act because it is right, because it aligns with your values, because it flows naturally from your centered being, not because you fear judgment or crave approval. Each silent act of integrity strengthens the foundation of your inner authority, making you unmovable in the face of distraction or adversity. Ask confidence. How often do I feel the need to assert, to prove, to shout, when quiet presence would achieve far more? And where can I choose quiet strength instead of loud assurance? In relationships, in work, in moments of decision. Everywhere you resist the urge to perform, you reclaim your power. How can humility become my power? By embracing it, you discover that the less you demand from the world, the more it responds to the authenticity within you. The quieter you walk, the farther your influence reaches. The less you cling to recognition, the stronger your presence becomes. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you cultivate a quiet confidence that the world cannot disturb. You move with purpose without friction, guide without force, and grow without seeking permission. And in this serene mastery, life begins to flow effortlessly, carrying you forward on the current of your own unshakable presence. Bonus lesson: when you become the stillness you seek. What happens when silence is no longer something you do, but something you are? Most of us chase quiet as if it were a place, a reward, or a fleeting moment between distractions. Yet the deepest peace is not found outside. It arises when stillness becomes your natural state. Peace is not a destination, it's your natural state beneath the noise. Imagine a calm pond under the moonlight. When the water ripples, the reflection disappears. But when the water stills, the moon returns, perfectly mirrored. In the same way, your inner peace is always present. It only becomes visible when you stop stirring the surface of your mind. To become the stillness you seek is to stop struggling, to stop chasing, to simply exist in quiet awareness. Sit in complete stillness for a few breaths. Feel your presence without judgment, without expectation, without urgency. Notice that even without doing, even without changing anything, you are enough. This is the essence of becoming your own sanctuary. The recognition that your being is whole, complete, and capable of holding its own silence. Buddhist teachings remind us that suffering arises from attachment to what is not permanent. Thoughts, emotions, the endless pursuit of more. When you embody stillness, you release that need to grasp, to impress, or to control. You allow life to flow around you, unforced and effortless. What you were chasing outside begins to emerge naturally from within, because your energy is no longer scattered. Ask yourself, who am I beneath all the noise? Beneath the roles, expectations, and endless thoughts, there is a quiet self that does not need validation, that does not demand attention. And can I be content with my own company? The ability to rest fully in your own presence is the foundation of freedom. It is here that true happiness blooms, not as a result of circumstance, but as a natural reflection of your being. What if everything I was chasing is already within me? Perhaps love, clarity, abundance, and peace have never been absent. They were simply obscured by the ripples of a restless mind. Still the mind, and the reflection returns. Still yourself, and life begins to move in harmony with you. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, this stillness becomes more than a practice. It becomes your nature. You no longer seek peace, you are peace. You no longer chase life, you move with its flow. And in this profound alignment, everything begins to unfold effortlessly, as if life itself recognizes the calm and lets go, carrying you gently toward your own awakening. Quick summary of the lessons. The hidden strength within stillness. True strength arises when you stop reacting and start observing. Silence isn't weakness, it's awareness in its purest form. The mind finds clarity when the tongue rests. In stillness, you meet your true self. The psychology of self-focus, returning to your center. When you stop scattering your attention, peace returns. Self-focus isn't selfishness, it's spiritual maintenance. By nurturing your inner world, you begin to influence the outer world naturally. Wise silence is the language of power. The most powerful people don't shout, they radiate calm assurance. Presence has more authority than noise. Real power is quiet. It commands attention through peace, not pressure. The energy you withhold becomes the power you radiate. Every time you choose restraint over reaction, you preserve energy. That stored energy becomes emotional stability and magnetic strength. Your calm presence speaks louder than anger ever could. Letting go of the need to be understood. When you stop needing to be seen, you finally see yourself. Let go of proving your worth, and truth naturally reveals itself. Peace begins the moment you no longer argue with misunderstanding. When you stay still, life starts moving. Life flows best when you stop forcing it. The moment you surrender control, alignment begins. Trust replaces anxiety, and what you seek starts finding its way to you. The art of detachment. How letting go amplifies attraction. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It means creating space for what truly belongs to arrive. Detachment gives freedom, clarity, and unexpected blessings. The less you chase, the more you attract. Ignore negativity. Silence is the strongest response. Every reaction feeds chaos. Silence dissolves it. When you choose not to respond to negativity, you protect your peace and show mastery over your emotions. Discipline. The silent path to mastery. Consistency is quiet power. Discipline practiced in silence becomes transformation in action. Small daily acts done in awareness create a lifetime of strength and focus. The calm mind that nothing can disturb. An undisturbed mind is your greatest protection. Peace is not the absence of storms, it's the ability to remain centered within them. Nothing outside can shake a grounded inner world. The power of quiet confidence. Confidence doesn't shout, it simply stands firm. True assurance comes from knowing your worth without announcing it. The quieter you are, the clearer your presence becomes. When you become the stillness you seek, when silence becomes your nature, peace follows you everywhere. You no longer seek calm, you are calm. This is the highest form of freedom, to move through life untouched by chaos. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, life begins to cooperate with you instead of resisting you. The mind that once scattered its strength now gathers its light. You stop chasing validation, and suddenly, what you once ran after starts moving toward you. The moment you stop explaining, the world starts understanding in silence. That is the secret rhythm of the universe. When you let go of noise, life begins to flow effortlessly. As Zen teaches, when the mind is still, the whole universe surrenders. So today, let silence be your power and presence your response. Walk calmly through the noise and remember, peace was never lost. It only waited for your attention to return home. If this message touched your heart, like this video, share it with someone who needs calm today.